Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was released 1 year after the original title that was released on the Mega Drive in 1991. Sonic 2 would continue the story of the titular character in his quest to stop Dr. Robotnik building a Death Egg. Sonic is no longer alone in this adventure though, and we are introduced to his sidekick known as Tails, a two-tailed fox. As a matter of fact, we would see Tails in the Master System version of Sonic 2 before the Mega Drive version was even released. This is also the first game in the Sonic franchise to allow for 2 players to play both competitively and cooperatively. Gameplay-wise, Sonic 2 is pretty similar to that of the original aside from a few additional elements. While the original Sonic the Hedgehog allowed you to spin dash across the ground if you gained enough speed, Sonic 2 adds to this feature with the Super Spin Dash, which allows the player to curl into a ball and repeatedly pressing the jump button to spin while stationary will send Sonic dashing across the screen with much velocity. This is especially useful when traversing up long ramps or ploughing through multiple enemies on the ground with speed. Returning to the game are the special stages, achieved by once again collecting at least 50 rings, only instead of jumping into a giant ring at the end of an act, you have to pass a checkpoint. Doing so with 50 rings or more allows a ring of stars to rotate around said checkpoint, and jumping into it will warp you to the special stage. These special stages comprise of a pseudo 3D half-pipe, which you have to run through while dodging obstacles and obtaining a minimum number of required rings. Reaching the end of the stage with the minimum number of rings will award you with a Chaos Emerald, which there are 7 of this time around, instead of the previous game's 6. Speaking of which, this time, the Chaos Emeralds have a purpose. Instead of collecting them for the true ending like you did in Sonic 1, collecting all 7 emeralds in Sonic 2 will give you the opportunity to transform into Super Sonic. Once you have this ability unlocked, you have to obtain a minimum number of 50 rings in order to use it. Once Super Sonic is activated, the number of rings are used as a countdown timer to signify how long you can remain as Super Sonic, which by when timer runs to 0, you turn back into regular Sonic. Collecting rings increases this timer naturally. Super Sonic has double the speed, is invincible to all enemy attacks and can jump much higher. This makes the game much easier, and it is possible to earn all 7 Chaos Emeralds before you even reach stage 4. Also added to Sonic 2 is the ability to include a second player to the game. There are 2 ways to this as a result. The first 2-player mode is that of co-op play, which serves as a drop-in, drop-out mechanic, by which if you play Sonic 2 using both Sonic and Tails, if a second player picks up a controller, he or she can control Tails and eliminate the AI control constantly. The drawback to this is player 2 has limited control over what can be done in the game, in which Sonic is the primary focus and Tails is only used to help with minor obstacles and also boss fights. Tails can never truly die and will simply respawn if he does. He can be used to help Sonic in the special stages too by grabbing any rings that Sonic misses. However, there is a disadvantage to playing Sonic and Tails in the special stages. Tails is much of a risk of losing rings just as much as Sonic is, and it will affect the total number of rings obtained as a result. My best advice is if you're going to play Sonic 2 on your own, go into the options screen and select either Sonic or Tails on his own, and with that you will have no problems playing through the special stages without worrying about Tails ruining your number of rings collected. The other 2-player mode is a competitive split screen mode in which both players have to race across 3 of the regular levels and 1 special stage. Once a player passes the finish line, the second player has 60 seconds to reach it or the level will finish there and then. To win overall, a player must have the better part of the score, time completed, rings held, total rings collected, and number of item boxes broken. If a player loses all their lives however, the other opponent will win by default. The only gripe I have with this mode is despite it being a pretty decent feat for the Mega Drive system, it does come at a cost. When you play split screen mode, the respective screens of both players is squashed and it ends up looking distorted and stretched wide as a result. Regardless, if you can ignore it, it's a pretty fun game mode to play with a friend. The stages themselves are much bigger than those that were in Sonic 1. Some stages have a lot of verticality, and my favourite stage, Casino Zone, has plenty of different routes to take. There are plenty of areas to explore in this instalment. You don't necessarily have to power through from left to right. You can if you like, but you can also explore, track back, find alternative routes and even hidden passages, provided you can still finish a level within the 10 minutes you're limited to, and it makes replayability much more feasible. As far as visuals go, the game certainly looks a lot more vibrant than the previous game. Sprites are also larger, much more detailed, and I know it's the first act, but Emerald Hill Zone is my favourite stage just simply from looks alone. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is regarded as the best of the original trilogy, and it's easy to see why. It made the biggest improvements, it had a much better soundtrack in my opinion, and it just had the right amount of pacing. It's certainly my favourite of the Mega Drive era, and one that I will always keep coming back to. And that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Mega Drive. There wasn't much I could say about it, there wasn't many improvements to it, but it was just the right amount of improvements just to make it that much better than the original game. So I will end this by saying thank you very much for watching. This has been Gamerboy talking here on Gamerboy Gaming, where I play the games that you need to have. Thanks again, and I will see you on the review of Sonic 3. Cheerio.